Baseball and Whatever with your host, Justin McAwee.
Because I was on campus and I had to appear like I was one of the cool kids, I would put the Star Wars book inside one of my textbooks so it looked like I was just studying for class.
All right, look, there's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Vincent Francis Jankowitz aboard.
I'm a glorified fact checker.
Last I checked, the most runs in a game wins.
Actually, I am a fact checker.
And Greg Probst.
If you look at most Bond fans movie rankings, they have Casino Royale and Majesties in their top two. For me, these actually rank in the bottom part of my list. I mean, I love them, but they don't compare to Diamonds Are Forever.
No, stop getting Bond wrong!
Hey everybody, it's Baseball and Whatever. Happy Thursday night if you're watching this or listening to it live. Happy Friday or happy, random Monday in like 2024. I don't know. Whenever you're listening to this episode Baseball and Whatever, episode 90. Hi, Vinny. How are you?
Justin, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good. I actually can talk. Last week I listened to the recording. I sounded like my voice was dying. It was pretty gruesome to listen to. So I'm good.
No idea.
Hey, I persevere for the podcast. Anyway, episode 90, Baseball and Whatever. This week we are doing the return of Musical Mayhem. I gotta say, I really enjoy this segment, especially when it ends up finding some uncovered gems. So this week we'll be talking baseball. We got Cubs, White Sox stuff to talk about. We might even have, if we have time, we'll dive a little bit into the Blackhawks. Jonathan Taves isn't being traded. Patrick Kane might. And then we're going to break down 5 completely random artists that were picked at random, I guess. And that is Queens of the Stone Age. Palaye Royale, I think is how it's pronounced. I thought it was Palaye Royale, but now I'm looking at it and it's Palaye Royale, maybe? FunkWav. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I thought it was Pale Royale. I didn't read that.
Yes, that's all right. Well, I tweeted it out, and then I'm like, oh crap. Then I deleted the tweet and had to redo it. We have Queens of the Stone Age, one of my favorites. Palaye Royale or Palaye Royale. I don't know. Royale with cheese. It doesn't matter. FunkWav, Arcade Fire, another band I'm pretty familiar with, and then Khalid. So we took some time this week. We listened to it. I gotta say, there's one in particular I really liked. I was so excited. I texted Vinny. I'm like, we actually hit on something in this segment. So we'll get to that in the second half of the show. If you're tuning in for that, we'll have the timestamps in the notes for you. But it's episode 90, so we got to figure out who wore number 90 in Chicago sports. Vinny, I know there are 2 for the Blackhawks. Would you like me to nail those real quick for you?
Sure.
All right, number 1. I think this was from 2018, 2019. That would be emergency backup goalie that played 10 minutes. I believe he's an accountant in real life, and that is Scott Foster.
Good man.
Yeah, those accountants. Correct. You got to watch out about those financial people. So yeah, he played. I know he's still their emergency backup goalie. Like he will show up to practice occasionally, and he's usually on call for a decent amount of Blackhawks games just in case. We've also had a couple other emergency backup goalie situations since then. Notably, one of them was against the Maple Leafs. Their Zamboni driver actually had to suit up against them, and he helped the Hurricanes win, which I find hysterical. That was, I think, a year after Scott Foster. But anyway, the other number 90 is currently on the Blackhawks. That is Tyler Johnson.
Good job, Justin.
There you go. That's all I got for Blackhawks. I think you said there's no Cubs and no White Sox, correct?
No Cubs or White Sox. There is one Chicago Bull. Do you want to guess who that is? Pretty popular. Well, I shouldn't say pretty popular, but well-known basketball player. Played with them for a year or 2. Played with Cleveland for a while.
What year? Oh.
2008 to 2009. Big beard, bald.
Was it Nazir Mohammed? No.
What?
Was it Nazir Mohammed?
No.
Oh, who was it then?
Nazir Mohammed has hair on his head. He's
not does
bald.
He? I don't know.
I mean, this guy was so like Mr. Clean bald.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I almost had Carlos Boozer, but that's not right. He played longer than 1 year.
No.
I have no idea. Who was it?
But this guy played a long time in the NBA.
I have no idea.
You don't have any idea? Drew Gooden.
No. I would have never gotten that. I don't remember him at all. No.
Oh,
I don't know how I missed out on
Drew
him. All right. Well, the only other one I can think of is on the Bears. That would be Julius Peppers, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That is correct.
All right. Sweet. All right. There we go.
Actually, hold on.
No. Uh-oh.
Oh, no, there's no. Sorry, you are correct. There was just a lot of 90s since Julius Peppers, which I was unfamiliar with. I'm looking. Usually when it's like the last, I guess the last time Julius Peppers played for the Bears was 2013.
Wow, that was a long time ago. That was 10 years ago. Holy cow.
10 years ago. Just about. So, yeah, that was a while. But there's been how many Bears? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys to don 90 since Julius Peppers, and you probably can't name a single one of them.
I can't name a single one of them. No. Who are they?
Angelo Blackson, who just got released from the Bears, wore it.
No.
Before that, John Jenkins. I remember John Jenkins. Played one season.
Okay.
Jonathan Bullard.
That name sounds familiar.
Yep. Okay. Cornelius Washington.
No.
No?
No.
All right. Evander Hood and Jay Ratliff and Greg Scruggs all wore 90.
I remember
Peppers.
Ratliff and Scruggs. I don't remember what they did or if they were any good, but I remember them.
Yeah. Jay Ratliff, he was 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro.
Okay.
And that was not with the Bears. That was all with Dallas.
Okay.
So, yeah, his better days were before the Bears, like most free agents.
That seems to be the growing trend with Chicago sports in general, for the most part. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Right.
Before Julius Peppers, you don't have anybody on your radar? How about if I give you a hint? This guy once jumped out of a pool without using his hands.
Didn't he hurt himself, right?
No, he did not hurt himself. The Bears ended up drafting him in like the 4th round, but the guy was absolute garbage on the field. But he got himself to be a 4th round draft pick because he was able to jump out of a pool without using anything, like no hands, no support. He jumped out of the pool.
How is that even possible?
I mean, if you're strong enough, you can do it.
Yeah, I got.
And it wasn't like he was like in the deep end. He was in like the shallow end. So it's more just like resistance.
What years did he play?
2009. He was only on the team 1 year.
No, I have no idea then.
Jerron Gilbert.
That I would have never guessed that in a million years.
No, and actually he was not a 4th round pick. He was a 3rd round pick, 68th pick overall. The Bears took him.
It's an interesting reason to take a pick on somebody.
Well,
but I guess
you're talking. Jerry Angelo picked him, so not
that doesn't. Yeah,
I think that was Jerry Angelo at the time.
It probably was.
Yeah, that would have been Jerry.
Sounds
Angelo.
about right. Yeah.
All right. Before that, not too many big names here. Alonzo Spellman would be.
He was the other one. I remember him. Yes, I remember him being pretty good. I know I just pulled up his stats, and apparently his time with the Bears was kind of cut short because apparently he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and he self-medicated instead of regular medicated, so I think that made some issues for him, unfortunately. But I do remember him being very good. That's a guy from when I was a kid that didn't like the Bears. I remember hearing of him multiple times.
Yep. Before that was Al Harris, 1979 to 1988.
Okay.
So he was on the Super Bowl team during his time. Yeah, so that's it for 90s in Chicago sports history.
All right. Actually, not a bad. I thought 90 would be pretty bad, but there's a couple people in there that are worth talking about. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that takes us to our next segment. Moving down the outline here, we don't have any new reviews to read, no YouTube comments, nothing like that this week. But we do have our hot takes / random thoughts / recommendations, which is still to be retitled and re-sound dropped. But I got 2. First of all, if you're watching on the YouTube version, I have another iced coffee in my Star Wars glass. You know, this is Luke Skywalker's coolest outfit. The X-Wing flight uniform is my favorite.
Nerd alert!
Okay. Anyway, so I found, and hold on, I actually took a picture of it so I could tell the tens of listeners that we have about this. I found, Vinny, I don't have to cut my coffee with water anymore because I found a coffee I like.
Thank God.
All right, and that is, apparently it's called Stock or Stoke cold brew coffee. It comes in multiple blends, but the one that I happen to like is called Bright and Mellow. Bright and Mellow cold brew coffee. Comes in a yellow bottle.
That's because you're a bright and mellow kind of guy, Justin.
That's what they tell me. So yeah, so I was shocked. Now, does it taste good by itself? No, because it's coffee. But you mix it with another creamer, which I like, which is Snickers creamer. Just couple.
I thought you were worried about the sugars.
Well, the cold brew coffee is like has no sugar in it, so I figure, one coffee here and there is not going to make or break me. But, and so it's pretty good, not bad. Is it Starbucks? No, okay. But is it better than last week? By God, yes.
Okay.
So yeah.
Now, Justin, I'm gonna give you some advice. Now,
okay. Oh boy.
Why don't you like just regular hot coffee?
I don't really like hot drinks in general. I like to be refreshed when I'm parched, not I like hot chocolate.
They make good flavored coffee that you could buy and then brew it and then pour it over ice, and you have yourself an iced coffee. It's not a cold brew, but it's an iced coffee. It's the same thing they do at like Dunkin' or
Starbucks, yeah.
McDonald's, or Starbucks. They take the hot coffee and pour it over ice. Now you could do that and get yourself a flavored coffee. Now there's a flavored coffee that I just picked up at Aldi that's a creme brulee flavored coffee. And it's quite delicious. So I would suggest you do that, and if you put your creamer and maybe some just regular sugar instead of the artificial sugars that are in a Snickers creamer.
No, that's real sugar, Vinny.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. As I'm sure it's not high fructose corn syrup.
No.
You're drinking. So if you would do that, would just get a regular creamer with the flavored coffee and add in the sugar so it tastes like a creme brulee, I'm sure you would enjoy that. Or like a hazelnut or something like that. I think you would enjoy that. So might be something to consider.
All right. Well, I didn't consider just pouring hot coffee over ice and cooling it myself. I will admit though, I don't really know how to work a coffee pot because I don't.
Okay.
We do have one.
It's very simple. I mean, it's usually a coffee machine. Usually you fill the backwater up, you fill it with coffee, and then you click a little button and then it brews for you. Now
where does the French press come into play though?
You don't have to do a French press. That's too advanced for you. Now, Justin, here's something you could do.
Yes.
Now, get this. You could brew hot coffee at night at dinner time. Okay. Now, when it's done running the cycle, you could take it off, put it on a hot pad, and then before bed, throw it in the fridge. There you have your cold drink in the morning.
Man, 2023 is all about changes for me. This is huge. I didn't think about doing it beforehand. I'm already meal prepping my salad for lunch every night, so
there you go. And it'd be right there for you. It's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper too than the cold brew stuff you buy. And there you go, Justin.
All right, I think we might have stumbled onto something here because I was going to say trying to do all that in the morning. We're kind of scraping the limit of time in the morning when I'm trying to get Maddie ready for sure.
And they do if you do buy a good coffee maker, they do have it where it's auto program and starts up for you in the morning. But since you don't like hot drinks, you might as well just make it at night and throw it in the fridge.
We do have a coffee maker. I know because your parents use it when they come to watch Maddie, and my parents use it when they come to watch Maddie. I've never used it. I just put it away when they're not here. So maybe
I think you just have to get a little course on how to make coffee.
I'm 35 and making coffee. What a world I'm living right now. What a life.
Oh man.
What a life. Well, I wasn't sheltered at all. All right. I got one more thing that I just added because I'm curious, and I know we talked about this with Greg at one point. So on Facebook and Twitter, I must have been on Old Navy or like American Eagle or something looking for jeans at one point. I keep getting ads for cargo shorts now that spring is coming. So, Vinny, my question to you, are cargo shorts making a comeback, A? And B, are cargo shorts acceptable to wear yet?
Come on, man.
No, absolutely not.
Really?
But that's just me. I don't know. Cargo shorts while you're doing like work, like working around the house. Sure,
when you need pockets.
You got the extra pockets. But I don't know. I still go by the old quote from Superbad.
Yes.
No one's got a hand
Since
job
Nam.
wearing cargo shorts since Nam.
Nam.
I don't know. Yeah, I do have cargo shorts.
So,
but
yeah,
like I said,
I don't have any
usually
anymore.
Wear them when I'm doing yard work or working around the house because the extra pockets are nice. But if I'm going out with my wife and I'm going to wear shorts, I will not wear.
You got to class
shorts.
it up.
Nor will
a
she advise that I wear cargo shorts. So
see, and I know I've talked to your sister about this.
I should change.
And she doesn't care what I wear as long as I'm dressed. But yeah, no, I haven't worn cargo shorts in, God, probably 4 or 5 years. I've just gone to like the regular like khaki shorts in the summer. And I sure as hell don't wear jean shorts. I am very anti-jean shorts. I would sooner wear cargo shorts than jean shorts. I'm not a big fan of shorts.
I don't have jean shorts. And anyways, you don't buy jean shorts. You buy jeans and you cut them into shorts. That way you can get the better leg movement, right?
Just like Dennis and Charlie, yeah.
Yes.
Or Mac and Charlie.
Exactly.
Look how much room I have. All right. On that note, that solves that mystery. All right. Should we get to some baseball talk finally?
Why not?
All right.
Baseball.
Welcome back to Major League Baseball. Sort of.
Taking a look at Chicago's 2 favorite teams and other happenings around the MLB.
All right, spring training is officially underway. I know I was looking at my ESPN app and it popped up like upcoming games and the MLB tab popped up and I was like, oh my gosh, spring training games start tomorrow. I think the Mariners play a game and somebody else, I don't remember who else.
Cubs do.
Cubs, do they? Okay, so that might be the case. I know all the Cubs games have been picked up by Marquee this year, so I'll actually have a reason to load into the Marquee app and see how much it breaks. But nice. I'm excited. Baseball is back. But David Ross was talking about the rotation and the bullpen coming up. So I guess let me ask you, Vinny, in a perfect world, who do you want in that 5th rotation spot? Do you have a preference?
I would probably say Hayden Wisniewski. Just the way he pitched last year, I think he'd, as long as he continues to pitch well, I would love to see him in the rotation and continue hopefully to grow and be as dominant as he was when he came up at the end of last year. So, yes, he would be my 5th spot. I'm trying to think. They have Steele, Stroman, Tyon, Smiley, and so
Sampson,
it would be between Assad, Sampson, and Wisniewski.
I think that's what Ross said as
Hendricks
much, right?
being on the what?
I think that's what Ross pretty much came out and said too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and I know I want to say they interviewed Hendricks and he said he's about a month behind where he normally would be at this time of the season. So,
that'll be interesting.
That'll be interesting. Realistically, do we see him before the All-Star break? I don't know. I would like to say yes, but I don't know. Something just feels off about this.
Behind.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess what does that mean? So, next month he would technically be reporting, that's
I
only
would
March.
think. Yeah. So
April
I mean,
to ramp up, and then
May,
June, because the All-Star breaks
July. I'm just thinking if he has any setbacks or anything. I feel like with pitchers, there's always a setback, But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what they do. I do like Sampson. I think he had some really good starts. Wisniewski's slider, though, is incredible. I wouldn't advise following him on Twitter, though. He's kind of a weird dude. But teach their own. I would say, though, I'd say his slider is just so amazing, so exciting to watch. The way that thing breaks. I know he was on CHGO last week, 2 weeks ago. I've had that one saved. I've been meaning to go back and watch that. They had Tyon on the other day as well. I mean, realistically, I'm just excited. I know Dexter Fowler was seen in camp because he's going to be working for Marquee this year, which is kind of cool.
We're going to win the World Series, right? Last time he showed up at spring training, they won.
That's what I would think. That guy looks like he could still play, too. I mean, granted, I know he didn't have a good career in St. Louis, but he still looks like he's in decent shape. He's not, letting himself go completely yet.
Like Albert Pujols?
Well,
Did
Albert
you see
Pujols
him at the All-Star for the NBA?
He was
like
starting to let him
go.
Yeah, he was starting to let himself go when he played for LA or Anaheim, whatever. Whatever they're called now. It's I'm very excited. I don't know. You got any other tidbits? Anything else from Rossi that you your ears kind of perked up, or anything in particular?
No, I'm really excited to see what they do. Who ends up winning the job at third base? I mean, there's a lot of talk about Nick Madrigal taking a lot of reps. It seems like they're giving him a chance to compete for that position. It'll be interesting. I know there was talk like last week or the week before about whether Madrigal should play there, and I don't care if they play him there. I mean, they don't really have any prospects. I mean, Morel plays at third. It would be nice if he wins the job and they start him, but if the coaching staff they see something and they want to give him a look, that's fine. I don't want it to be like a Jason Hayward extended look like last year was, where they left him out there when he didn't need to be out there. They have other options, so put somebody else there. If he's not cutting it in the field, get him out, do something else. Don't just let it sit and see if he can work through it, because at this point I don't really care to see Nick Madrigal, but at the same time I don't care if they give him a shot. Like, I'm not going to be upset about it because they don't have like a Chris Bryant type player to put there right now.
Right. If they if he pans out as a backup or like a super utility and can play second, short, I don't know if he's ever played short, and third, then sure. But like, I don't know. Okay, here's my question though. I just kind of assumed, I know people are making a bigger deal about like the third base position this year, but like, I just assumed it was Wisdom's to lose. Like, is he not the front runner?
I don't.
Isn't that kind of odd? Like, nothing really is ever said about him lately. I've heard plenty of people say that they're hoping Morel, gets a chance to play there more at third, because he's probably not going to be playing center field unless Bellinger needs a game off, or if Bellinger, bottoms out and doesn't improve like everyone's hoping. But like, I just kind of assumed like, all right, Wisdom's the penciled in third baseman every day, and then Madrigal, if he can fill in, and then Morel would be filling in as well at third and second and short. Like, Morel is your super utility guy if you need one. So
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. You haven't heard a lot about Patrick Wisdom playing third. I know we talked about Patrick Wisdom being the kind of the split with the platoon partner with Mervis at first, but they've kind of overloaded first. They blew that up, and Hosmer. So I don't think he's playing there. I think he's going to be a bench guy. I think because he struggled last year at third base, defense wise. I think he's kind of relegated to that guy off the bench. I honestly don't know if someone else shows up in camp. He might not have a spot on the team, he might be playing for a spot to stay on the team, because if he's not at third and he's not at first, where are they putting him? I don't know if they're gonna. He didn't play any in the outfield last year,
no. So
yeah, I don't know where they would end up sticking him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him.
It's been so nice to be this, I guess, optimistic about this season. Like, it's exciting. Baseball's back. They have some potential. They spent some money. Like, it's just a good feeling that I feel like we haven't had in a while, especially the last couple of years, because you knew the core was going to be dumped or traded, and that Band-Aid was finally ripped off, and here we are. So, all right. Well, while the Cubs are in camp and things are going fairly well, let's switch gears to good old Camelback Ranch and the White Sox. Vinny, someone is back.
Who's back?
Elvis is back. Elvis Andrus signs a 1-year deal to play short. Wait, nope, I'm sorry, not shortstop, because that position is filled. He is going to play second base. Okay, a couple things. First of all, I feel like Twitter kind of imploded on itself in terms of Chicago sports, because everyone was saying he's not a second baseman. He's never played second base. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's easier to go from short to second than second to short, in terms of you're not required to be necessarily as quick off the bat, because chances are it's being hit to you the opposite way, and you're not going to need as strong of an arm. So if this is going to work for anybody, I think it could work for Elvis Andrus. But the same time, like, this just feels like this is so, like, such a White Sox move, right? Like, get a guy that doesn't actually play second, but he did play for you last year and he was good, but you didn't. Right? Like, am I off base on that?
Here's the thing about the move, and I was one of those people that was had the knee-jerk reaction of, well,
yes, I saw that. Yeah,
second baseman in his 14-year career, and they're going to stick him at second base. Okay, I get it. The transition's easier from shortstop to second than it would be second to short.
Right.
Here's my issue with it. All right. His OPS plus career, he's a 14-year career player. His OPS plus 87. His defensive WAR per season is 0.7. This is per Baseball Reference, and his WAR per season is 2.4. I'm going to read you this other player's stats, who's also a 10-plus year vet.
Okay.
87 OPS plus. Defensive WAR is 2.6 per season, and his WAR is 3.4 per season, which is better than Elvis Andrus. Do you know who that player is?
Is it Josh Harrison?
No, it's not. I didn't look at Josh Harrison's
who is it
statistics. Then? Someone that we knew very well last year on the Cubs that plays shortstop.
Nico Horner.
Nico Horner. This guy's 11-year vet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot the 11-year vet part. 11-year vet part. On the Cubs?
Yes, last year. She's not with the team anymore. Yeah.
God, why am I drawing a blank?
Andrelton Simmons.
Oh God, no! That's why I don't remember. I put that out of my head.
Exactly. Andrelton Simmons has a better career statistics than Elvis Andrus. Now, granted, if they signed Elvis to play, be a backup role player to fill in for Tim Anderson when he needs a break, to play second base, every other day or something like that. The report, from Bob Nightingale said the White Sox have their second baseman. Rick Hahn was talking glowing remarks about Elvis and everything, about him playing. He's going to be the second baseman. My fear is they're expecting to get 100+ games. I know Greg said that he's going to start there, but that they're not expecting him to be their everyday second baseman.
Sure.
My fear is they are going to have him be the everyday second baseman.
I think they are.
And they're not going to get the same guy they had last year in the 43-game span.
Yeah.
If they get that player, that's great, because he was a 116 OPS plus in the, at bat, and he was good in the field. He was solid for him all around. He's a good clubhouse guy. But if they're expecting to get that guy, I have a fear that they're going to get the career version of Elvis Andrus and not the 43-game White Sox version that they had last year. I want to say that 116 was his career high at OPS plus last year, and I think he only had over or at least a 110 or above one other time in his career. Okay. And that was in his 6 years ago, I think, if I remember correctly. So he's a good clubhouse guy, and if they are getting him to be a role player, it's a okay signing.
Right.
But if they're getting him to be this guy that they're expecting to play all season at second base, be their second baseman, it's a mess signing. Like, that is and everybody on Twitter, they were fist pumping. It was overexcitement for it, and it's just an okay mess signing for what he's supposed to, what Rick Hahn made it seem like it was supposed to be. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it's a wait and see. I mean, we saw that last year with guys like Frank Schwindel and Patrick Wisdom, where they had good stretches for the Cubs, and we all were hoping that they could continue doing that, and they sure didn't. They reverted back to the players that they were. And I have a fear that Elvis is going to do the same thing. I really hope not. Like I said, I hope they can get that 116 OPS plus player at the plate. But we'll see. We'll see.
We will see. I'm cautiously optimistic for White Sox fans. I don't know. I think you're right. That I didn't realize it was only a 43-game sample size he had with the Sox last year. It felt much longer. Man, if he regresses to the mean, what he normally would do, and they're counting on him to play 100-something games on top of an already weaker team than last year because they've lost a couple. Well, they lost Jose Abreu. I don't know. We'll see. All right. One other thing I got for the White Sox, Vinny. Or actually, no. One other thing, and then I know you got some stuff you want to talk about with documentary dates. Tim Anderson was interviewed by, what would that be? Not CSN. NBC Sports Chicago's Chuck Garfien. First of all, Chuck Garfien, if you're not familiar, I feel like in terms of White Sox media personnel, he is one of the most, like, always trying to find the positive in the team, right? Like last year, even when things were on flames and the ship was going down, I felt like he was still trying to find positives or still trying to find ways to say, hey, if this breaks right, the Sox could still make a run here and so on and so forth, which he gets accused of carrying water for the team a lot, which I don't know if that's the case. I don't really watch a lot of pre- and post-game Sox. I usually just watch the game and that's it. But he was out at Camelback Ranch where the White Sox have set up for spring training, and he had a little interview. It was a podcast too with Tim Anderson, and I'm kind of curious. You and I and Greg were texting back and forth a little bit, but ultimately, if I'm going to summarize this, it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim Anderson kind of said that he was disappointed in the media for not being more positive about the team. And then he also kind of referenced the fan base, and my understanding was he was saying, like, he wants the fans to be pulling on the same rope that the team's pulling on and all going in one direction as opposed to, like, the fans being down on the team, and much like the media. Is that kind of what you got out of it, too?
Yeah, something along the lines. Yeah.
Something along those lines. This is where he lost me, is he's like, yeah, we want the fans behind us to support us. Like, if you get in an argument with your wife or your wife's having a bad time, you want to be there to pat her on the back. I'm like, dude, aren't you the one that was messing around on your wife last year? And that's why you kind of sucked in terms of that.
That is correct.
So, okay, so that news kind of broke. Now, we can discuss whether or not more was made of that than needed to be. But I mean, Chuck Garfien even's like, what are you talking about me? Like, what did I do? That's my job. So I'm of two minds here. First off, the media, the sports media, the TV, the radio, that's their job. Like, they have to call out bad play when they see it. And let's be honest, the White Sox were bad for a variety of reasons. I don't know. It always bothers me when players get all upset with media. And I'm not talking like, if some writer or journalist writes like a hit piece on a guy, but like if you're just talking about their play and you have stats and facts to back it up, it comes with the territory. That's why you're making the big bucks. But then to talk about the fan base, like that gets real dicey real quick because, like, I don't know. I would just recommend, like, any team, maybe don't even bring up the fan base in general, because I don't know what good can come of that if it's misconstrued. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a good chance it's going to be misconstrued, even if he didn't mean that. Which then leads to my last point, and then I'll let you take over, is 670 The Score. I listen to the Bernstein and Holmes show usually during my lunch break. Dan Bernstein was out this week. I guess he had some heart issues. So Layla Rahimi was in, which is awesome. She does the Wednesday show with them too. And Lawrence Holmes kind of went off. I know I sent you and Greg that audio clip. There's a longer, like 9-minute one on YouTube on the 670 The Score YouTube page. And what I got out of that was there's something behind the scenes between him and some White Sox management. I think Kenny Williams in particular. But Lawrence Holmes' whole thing was like, this is what the White Sox do. They never just go about it the way they should. They always try and make it like their way. And it never really comes out looking very good. And he cited some different examples and things like that. But I don't know. What was your take on that whole little brief clip of TA and Chuck Garfien, and then from there?
Well, I know Chuck Garfien had said that there was more to the interview. It wasn't, which it's
correct.
Like, then why did you put that out? You knew that was going to, like,
that was for clicks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess there was more to the interview than just that little snippet that he put out there.
Yes.
I don't have an issue with anything he said. It's the way he felt. I mean, players are going to be, if they're not
still
playing
human.
well, they're going to get in a rut. They're going to be upset about it. Yeah, you're not going to want people shitting on you while you're down, you know, kicking you while you're down. You know, that's not a fun feeling.
Right, no.
He told everybody how he felt about last year. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a little misconstrued on his part because I feel like more of the fan base was upset with Tony and management than
him
necessarily
and
the players.
players.
I know that, you know, people, you know, ragged on Yasmani Grandal. You know, Herb Lawrence did the whole video where he tried to
outrun
to like first and he almost killed himself. You know, there was stuff like that, you know, and I think on the score they were kind of critical of some of the players, you know, appearing to take it easy and not hustle. There was some of that, but at the same time, I think they were more upset with Tony and management than the players overall. But, you know, obviously they're there at the games. They hear people boo and stuff like that. I'm sure they probably feel somewhat, you know, because if they're winning, no one's booing. So I think, you know, he told everybody how he felt. I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, and at the same time, if he needs to have that us versus, you know, us versus them mentality, us versus the world type of stuff to help motivate him to play better, fine, so be it. You know, tell yourself whatever you need to, Tim Anderson, to play better. That's great. Because the White Sox need you playing great baseball. So tell yourself whatever you need to. I thought the wife analogy was hilarious.
I don't know
I
why.
Spit out my coffee while I was listening to that. I thought it was. I was like, oh quite the analogy there, sir.
That's one way to take it. Yeah. Pat on the back. I don't think I've ever said, well, when my wife needs a pat on the back. Like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. So well, and what's funny though is like they talked more about that today on the score, and Lawrence Holmes went off again, or maybe it was Dan Bernstein because he was back today, but said like, you know, TA, like, you know, you're not happy with the way we've treated you. And he kind of paused and he's like, you know, there's a lot of things surrounding TA in particular that we as a organization know better than to tackle because that's his personal life. But if you want to get into this game that we're not treating you fairly, like we can go down that road. And I was like, oh God, like this is really, you know, like that could get it could get really messy really quick. And then when I heard that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. Like there is a lot of things I'm sure that, you know, Chicago sports media, whether it's radio or, you know, like the YouTube guys now with CHGO or the newspapers or whatever, like I'm sure there's a lot of stuff they're privy to that they know, like there's a line they don't cross.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was the only thing that kind of caught me or struck me a little weird is I'm like, of all the people, I'm like, TA was hurt or out from a good chunk of the season. And I'm like, and, you know, and then to kind of go down that road, I'm like, well, I don't know, but it was weird. And like you said, why would you, if you're going to say that's not what the whole interview was like, then clearly that's just a grab at clicks, attention downloads and things like that, which is fine. I mean,
clickbait.
Clickbait. I am not above clickbait. I'll be the first to tell you that. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Vinny, though, you do have some information about the Comiskey documentary.
I was going to say that there was one more thing to that whole TA and then the score part. John Greenberg just came out and said, if you're hoping to hear White Sox players yucking it up with up on 670 the score, you might be waiting for a little bit. Sources at the score said the relationship between the team and the radio station is strained after the Parkins and Spiegel show aired the interview with Mike Clevenger's ex-girlfriend and the mother of his 10-month-old daughter, Olivia Feinstead, last week. In the interview, she discussed allegations of domestic violence and the child abuse against the new White Sox pitcher, mostly ones that she had previously relayed on her Instagram account. So, yeah, things are, pretty bad.
To that,
I guess, between PR, relations, and score.
To which that I would say, well, White Sox, if you don't want someone coming out to talk about investigation that's being done to their players, maybe don't sign that player in the first place, or do a proper background check and don't just talk to former players that played with him. But I digress.
Or don't even have him speak to the media.
They
don't need to have him at camp. They don't need to put him on administrative leave because that's what the MLB does. So that it's through the MLB office, but they can tell him not to show up to camp and stay away. Or if they really want him at camp, don't talk to the media. There was no reason to put him in front of the media. We don't need to go down that road again talking about that, but there was no reason for them to have that discussion, to have a reason for a rebuttal. But I digress. On to some more positive White Sox talk. There's not too much of that, but Liam Hendriks was doing long toss today. It's good to see him getting back on his road to recovery from was it
non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, I believe.
Oh yeah, cancer. So
yes.
I'll just say cancer because I don't know the technical term.
No.
So yeah, it's good to see him throwing. And yeah, so hopefully he can come back and pitch at some point this season. I saw a picture of that today. So hopefully, he's appears to be doing well. He's out there throwing the ball, doing long toss. So
nice.
That's good. There's also a documentary coming up from called The Last Comiskey Documentary. It's about the last and final season of old Comiskey Park, I guess, or stadium. I don't remember what it's
Comiskey Park.
called.
Yeah. Comiskey Park?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's about the last season at the old stadium. It's a 3-part series on YouTube. You can watch it for free. First date is March 1st at 8 p.m. Central Time. Then the third date is almost 8 days later on March 9th at 8 p.m. And then it wraps up on March 16th at 8 p.m. At Central Time. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, especially it being free on YouTube. It'll be nice to be able to even watch it on my phone, maybe in the morning at breakfast. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it because the old Comiskey Stadium or Park, whatever. It looked like a great stadium, and I think what was the last season in the early 90s?
92, 91, something like that.
92. Okay, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. See that documentary and see everything going on and kind of getting old clips of the stadium. It'll be kind of cool to see how they go about the documentary, if they're going to do like a full history and talk about it being built and show a lot more older film of the stadium, old games there too, would be kind of cool.
For sure.
Yeah, if you're a White Sox fan, I would highly recommend checking that out.
Nice. All right. Last thing I'll share with baseball before we wrap up and then briefly talk about the Blackhawks. I thought it was really cool. There's a picture for the Rays, Tampa Bay Rays. Ryan Thompson. Are you familiar with Ryan Thompson? I honestly, couldn't tell you much about him, but I thought it was pretty cool. He kind of broke down what the arbitration hearing involves, right? So like every year you have so many players who are in arbitration where they want so much. The team says, no, you're not worth that. We're going to pay you this. They can't meet in the middle, so they go to an arbitrator, and then both teams are responsible for gathering as much info, data, facts to prove their side, so the arbitrator will side with them or produce a number that is fair to them. So Ryan Thompson came out. He said, these are my thoughts concerning arbitration. I want to make it clear, though, I lost my case. There is no ill will towards the Rays, as they were professional and respectful as possible, considering the circumstances. This is merely a review of the process. I got to say, though, after reading through what I'm going to share, I give him credit for saying there's no ill will. Like, that would really bother me if my team thinks I'm good enough to have play for them, but then they're going to bring as much data to back them up to say, well, no, he's not worth this because he's not really that good. Like, that would kind of mess with me a little bit. I don't know about you. Maybe I don't have thick skin. I don't know. But all right. He said, here's the criteria. It would be, right? He said they had a platform year contribution, career and a consistency contribution, a record of past compensation, comparable baseball salaries, existence of any physical or mental defects I may have, and a recent performance record of the club. So those were the 6 things that the Rays took into account and that he had to take into account. So obviously being a relief pitcher, he said his approach was to stay as strict to the criteria as possible. My concern was that the 3 arbitrators have an unknown knowledge of the game of baseball. Maybe they play fantasy baseball. Maybe they call scoring runs, scoring points. Oh my God, that drives me insane. But that's a very good point. You have no idea what the background knowledge of these arbitrators are. They're looking at just the data and the facts. So he said, this is what we had to assume. He said the most important statistics for a middle reliever / setup guy are holds and a leverage index, both of which I excelled in both the platform year and the career with my consistency. The Rays did an excellent job discrediting holds and leverage while targeting me on blown saves. But he said, I'm not a closer, so why are we targeting blown saves? All right. He said, my career batting average against is .214 with lefties. My lack of usage against lefties, though, is what the team used against me. So even though he's saying, look at what I can do against lefties, the team came back and said, well, we don't use the U that way. Well, whose fault is that?
Right.
He said they also used a lot of buzzwords to sway the arbitrators, including blown saves, meltdowns, and protected from left-handed hitters created a bias. This is brilliance. That was his literal quote. They then go into some comparisons with other players and what their salaries were. The arbitrators decided he was worth $225,000 less than one of the player comps that the Rays kind of put in towards him. Says the flaws in this process. I was told leading up to the case it was paramount not to share the date of my case so that arbitrators could not be able to research me and create bias. However, upon entry to the hearing, they all had their phones out and they used them freely during breaks. After this, they don't sit in the room and hash out the decision, but rather they go to the hotel bar. Okay. He says my biggest
to make a decision, right?
Yeah. My biggest issue with this process is they get to make whatever decision they come to, but there's no explanation or defense of the decision. In any other legal case, the decision is public. This is, for some reason, very hidden and secretive. That sounds like Major League Baseball. And if the process is created to be fair, then why don't we learn the laws of the land? In some sense, we were shooting in the dark, not knowing what the arbitrators leaned into, what they disregarded, and what they actually knew. Considering my player comps and middle reliever statistics in the career were undeniable, they must have chosen the other side for reasons not stated in this criteria, which, if that's the case, is dangerous to the process. So, like many things Major League Baseball does, I'm not surprised that this is very, fly off the seat of your...
Unprofessional?
A little unprofessional, and just kind of by the seat of your pants, right? But, yeah, it's interesting that I did not realize they don't really have to explain their decision. It's just, nope, this is our decision, and that's
dumb.
it.
That's absolutely dumb. They should be giving a reason why they're siding with somebody, why they're not, they're just, okay, the Rays win. Like, we agree with the Rays. Like, why? Like, why? And why are they allowed to go to a hotel bar to hash it out? They should not leave the room until they come up with. I mean, that should be a day process where, okay, you're gonna give us the facts in the morning. We'll break for lunch, where they're brought in food and they don't get to leave. They don't get to get on their phones. They break for lunch. They get to analyze maybe the data that they're going over while eating, and then boom. They come up with a decision in the afternoon. That's what it should be. Not, go to the hotel bar, be on our phones the entire time, because that's ridiculous. And they should definitely give a reason why they're siding with one person or the other. Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I don't know. I just thought that was very, very interesting in general. Just a strange thing to learn about. So, all right, we actually have some hockey talk, Vinny.
Used puck bags.
Hey, shut up! You guys stink. I thought we came here to play hockey.
I knew we forgot something.
Diving in on what's happening with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, the Chicago Blackhawks are, I believe, on a 4-game winning streak, which is not helping their
That's
tank.
not good.
No, the battle for Bedard, the tank for Bedard is on.
For Bedard?
You could also use that one if you'd prefer. Yes, that's fine. All right, so a couple things, though, real quick, and then we can get to whatever, or Musical Mayhem in this case. Jonathan Toews is not going to be traded at the deadline. There was a lot of talk that this would be the year they would try and move Toews and Kane, try and get any type of prospect or draft picks, as the rebuild is clearly in full swing, because I don't know if you haven't watched some of these last 4 games, they are really bad. Really, really bad. But he came out, wrote a letter to the fans, and explained that I'm assuming he's going to be out for the foreseeable future, so he will not be traded because he is suffering from issues from long COVID again. If you remember, gosh, was it 2 seasons ago? He was pretty much gone almost the whole season. He came down with COVID, and then he had a lot of ill effects afterwards, which, we kind of know affects some people differently. But he's dealing with that again. And he started off real strong, and then he really started to fall apart again, which has kind of been how he's played the last couple of years, which makes you wonder maybe this is just a little too much. And granted, I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like trying to deal with that and play hockey. I play hockey very badly when I am healthy, so I can't imagine what it's like for a pro. So you're not going to get anything for him. If I were him, granted this isn't going away anytime soon, maybe it's time to hang him up. Like, he's 34. He's won everything. He's won a gold medal, won multiple Stanley Cups. For a period of time, he was considered like one of the top 5 players in the league. There was a lot of talk about around 2010, it was like, would you rather build your team with Taves or with Sidney Crosby? And obviously now that comparison is nowhere near what it was, 13 years ago. But yeah, it's sad. If that is the end of his career, it's sad to see it go that way. But I think a lot of Blackhawks fans were banking that they would get something for him, and that's not happening this year. So the other thing, Patrick Kane, weeks ago told the Blackhawks he would let them know the last week and a half before the deadline if he wanted to be moved. And it's a week and a half before the trade deadline. We are 9 days away now, 10 days away. He initially wanted to go to the Rangers to play with Artemi Panarin, who's there. They made a big trade with St. Louis already, so I don't know if the Rangers have room for him. There was talk about him going to the Maple Leafs. They just made a real big trade with St. Louis to get one of their best players, so the Maple Leafs don't really have room for him. So the potential places he could go are dwindling. There was also a lot of talk about his hips, where his hip was bothering him, so that's why he's having a horrible year. He's only got like 27 points for the whole year, but he's also on the worst team in the league. So he scored 9 goals in the first 50 games, and he's scored 7 goals in the last 3 games. So I don't know if he's maybe made a decision and that's making him play better. It's a weight's been lifted off, but
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't realize he's been in the league for 16 years. That's
a long time.
Insane to me. Like, that's insane. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, if he leaves, maybe he comes back for a 1-year deal. Who knows? We'll see. But that's it. We'll keep you posted on that. That's all I got for the Blackhawks. Vinny, you got anything else you want to share?
I don't. No, not for
all
the
right.
Blackhawks. But,
all right.
I was going to say, where do you want him to go?
I honestly
don't care.
Be
traded, or you want him to stay?
I mean, they need as much help as they can get in terms of draft picks. So if they can get something for him, go for it. There's something to be said, though, for guys that play with one team. You don't see that in a lot of sports. You used to see it a lot in the NHL. You don't see it as much in the NHL anymore either. But, he could always come back for a 1-year deal. Or there's also talk that he'll stick around this year, sign a 1-year deal in the offseason, and then we'll do all this thing again next year. But then he's 35. Like, your chance of getting something decent for him then has gone down even more. So I just don't like, it's like, all right, dude, you've known for a year now this is your final go-round with the Hawks. Why do you need to wait until 9 days out to make a decision? Like, I get the no-move clause and all that, but, like, you should have a rough idea what you want to do now. It's kind of silly.
Either say yes
point.
Or no. Like,
right. And if you don't...
It's only half a season too, right?
Yeah. It's less than that. There's 30 games left. So I just don't understand.
Be that big of a deal.
No, it's either you want to go or you don't. And if you don't, that's fine. Like, that's why you got a no move clause. You can say no. I'm not going to argue against somebody who had that put in. That's management's problem. That's not his problem. So we'll see what happens. But end of an era for sure. All right. Now the good stuff. Let's get to the musical mayhem.
All right.
Musical Mayhem, looking for the good music.
I had a few hits a few years ago. Twin Lakes Polka, Damavuji Polka.
The bad music.
Why not? Well, it's sentimental, tacky crap. That's why not. Do we look like the kind of store that sells I just called to say I love you? Go to the mall.
And everything in between to find new stuff for you to listen to.
Holland Oates, you're like Peter Gabriel. Holland Oates is 2 separate people. No, Holland is his first name and Oates is his last name.
Join us on this journey, won't you? I could listen to that music all the time. All right. Vinny, take it away.
Welcome to whatever, baseball and whatever. This week we are doing Musical Mayhem, as you had just heard from Justin's sultry tones, where we pick 5 random or 5 bands at random sounds better. 5 bands at random, or artists, musical groups, what have you, and we listen to the good, the bad, and the ugly of these artists, and pick our favorite songs from each of them. We also kind of rank them on personally how we liked them as well. That doesn't really apply here, but we try to pick out music that you might listen to, or maybe you'll dabble into from our suggestions, and find somebody new that you might like. And I will say this week was a fun one.
It was.
The band I knew, the only one I knew, they were ranked last on this list. So the one I thought like, oh, that one is probably going to be number 1 because I don't know any of these other ones, was actually last. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I know we were texting earlier about this this week, and yeah, it was probably the best one we've had so far.
Completely
in terms
agree.
Of just overall music. There was no Tyler the Creator there. I mean, it was all kind of just modern music too. We didn't have like a jazz artist or anything like that. So it was nice. I enjoyed this week's Musical Mayhem for sure.
So did I.
What about you,
this
Justin?
was definitely this is the 4th time we've done this. I'd say this has been my favorite one so far. I feel like whatever random generator picker you use really gave us some good stuff this week. So I'm excited.
Okay, good. I'm glad you are excited as I am. I will start off because I think I've had you start off for the past couple ones. So I'll start off this time. It's for number 5 for me is going to be Arcade Fire. Oh, I should go over the artists.
Yes, please do.
The random artists that we had were Arcade Fire, FunkWav, and that's WAV. I guess, how would I pronounce? It's not Pale. It's Palaye Royale.
Palaye Royale. Let me look up. Maybe their Wikipedia page says how to pronounce it.
All right. It's Palaye.
Yes.
Justin's gonna get down to how the phonetic spelling of this group.
They used to be known as Crop Circle, which I think is a pretty funny name.
That's a good one.
But it's on their site. It says not to be confused with Palaye Royale, the French former royal palace. So I think they're going with Palaye Royale. I believe that's what they're going
Palaye Royale, or Royale with cheese is what I kept thinking of whenever I would see the band's name. Queens of the Stone Age and Khalid, not DJ Khalid. Khalid is that
Khalid?
How you pronounce it?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But it's Khalid, Khalid. So like I said, I liked all of these bands, but number 5 for me, as I kind of just hinted at, was Arcade Fire. It was the only band I recognized when we first went through the list.
Okay.
But yeah, I recognized what Wake Up was their really big hit. But the song I liked was Everything Now. It just had a good rhythm to it. I like I said, they're an indie band. I figured I would have really enjoyed them, but it kind of all sounded the same. But Everything Now was one that I kind of liked overall from them.
Yeah, I have Everything Now. Okay, I have heard that song. I was just listening to it. Arcade Fire to me is like your indie rock, indie folk rock, maybe, right? Like,
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I got into them when I got out of college. So I'm looking at this Everything Now album that came out that was recent. That was 2017. Okay. The one that I was familiar with in terms of Arcade Fire was the album The Suburbs. Did you come across that album when you were listening to stuff?
I think so.
Okay. So really I'll be honest, I got really into that album. I remember it's one of the few albums I've actually bought since everything is streaming nowadays. And now I kind of go back and I'm like, yeah, I think you nailed it, Vinny. And maybe like if we have an Arcade Fire fan out there, they're going to crucify us. But like a lot of their stuff sounds the same. And maybe that's just like the indie vibe. But there are 3 songs in particular from that. Well, I'll tell you the one. The one that I love, and it was the biggest single from that album, The Suburbs, and that's literally the album, the song, The Suburbs. Just a really cool, mellow, dramatic, kind of dark at times song. Nothing too heavy, nothing too crazy. Was there any other ones?
Yeah.
Was that one that you remember listening to, or no?
I do remember listening to that one, yep.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the only other one I remember was Wake Up, and I think that was in like a couple maybe movies trailers. Yeah. I mean, if you heard it, you would recognize it right away and be like, oh, that's Arcade Fire. But yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to know a lot more of their songs than I actually did. Like I said, I knew that one instantly. Other than that, like, it was kind of hard, but like I said, they kind of all sound the same.
Yeah, there was another one, Ready to Start, was another one I liked. I think that got some radio play at times too, but yeah, like, I don't know. I've seen them perform they've been on Saturday Night Live a couple times. Yeah, I feel like they kind of had they kind of came and went in terms of like their real big heyday, and now they've still released albums, but they've peaked, or at least maybe I'm not listening to the right stuff and they're still going strong. I don't know, but yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah.
All right. Good. I'll have to give The Suburbs.
Give that one a listen. I'll be curious what you think.
Yeah. But number 4 for me was Khalid. He doesn't have a big catalog of music. He's very new. He's got a single and then a full album out. I think he did. No, he had a bigger catalog. I'm thinking of FunkWav. That guy only got a single and but they are kind of similar music. But Khalid is pretty good. He's got there were a couple songs that I liked, but the one I really enjoyed was Be Like That. It kind of had a guitar. It kind of was very mellow. It's a breakup song, so it was kind of funny, the lyrics in there. I know that he did the theme song, or not theme song, but I guess the main song for the Not Alone, I can't think of the movie, but it's the one, it's a recent movie out. It's on Paramount Plus. I plan on watching it. World War II movie with a white and an African American they're pilots together, and they're co-pilots, so they're part of the same squadron. So that looks very interesting. But he did the song for that, which is also very good. But I liked his song Be Like That. Kind of got just a mellow tune to it. Like I said, it's a breakup song, so it's got some kind of funny lyrics talking about a breakup. So, Justin, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, he was fine. Nothing, like, not necessarily somebody I would go back and seek out and listen to. The one song I did catch, the one that you mentioned. It was okay. The one that I liked was it was a little bit deeper on one of the albums. I don't think it was released. It was called Let's Go. I don't know if you came across that one, but it was just very, just had a good beat, kind of flowed, not necessarily as slow as some of his other stuff. Similar to Arcade Fire, though, I feel like the stuff I listened to of his, like, a lot of it kind of had that same, it's like, okay, yep, I get what he's going for, similar to what the last one is. And maybe that's just because it's a cursory glance, it's not a deep dive, but it was fine. Let's Go was okay. I think it was from the American Teen album he did in, what year was that? Let's see. That was in 2017. I don't know what I was doing in 2017, but I never heard of him. So yeah, it was fine. Not bad, but not somebody I would be like, oh, I need to go back and listen to that more. So that's where I ended up with on Khalid.
Yep. Nope. I think that's a fair analysis. I kind of had the same thing. Like the songs, I like 3 songs of his. It was Be Like That, the Not Alone song, which was part of the movie. Right. Motion picture. And then, it was 2 more. Wish You Were Here, which he was featured on that song, which that one was okay. And then Numb was kind of more of an upbeat one, from what I remember. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not something I'm going to seek out and be like, oh, got to listen to the new Khalid album. So not bad. But like you said, kind of very similar to Arcade Fire, where all the songs kind of sounded the same.
Yeah, I would agree 100%.
Number 3 for me was Queens of the Stone Age.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't like a lot of their songs, to be honest. Again, I felt like they had kind of a lot of similar stuff. A lot of the most liked songs on Spotify, because that's usually where I start before I try to dig deeper in their catalog. All sounded very similar, but the song I ended up picking was Everyone Knows That You're Insane. I love that title of that. And it kind of is one of more of their driving songs. I mean, it really kind of rocked. So I like that one. But they were a very kind of darkish band. Which I liked it. I mean, they're ranked number 3, and I did like all of these bands, so they were all easy to listen to. But they were number 3 for me, just because it was darker, and a lot of their popular stuff sounded very similar, and that's probably because why everybody likes the popular stuff, and of course they're probably all going to sound the same. But yeah, the song I liked was Everybody Knows You're Insane. The title alone is a great one. It's probably the best one of all the songs that are that I had to choose from. So and it had a good driving force in that song. So that was my Queens of the Stone Age. Justin, what about you?
Yes. So I know we talked about before we started recording. I remember being a junior in high school, getting my license, and this was definitely, I didn't own the album, but it was one of those, like, I downloaded a bunch of their songs from like LimeWire or Kazaa, and would definitely play it in my little aftermarket CD player in my Escort as we drove around town. Actually, I think I might have taken their. So, okay, I don't know about you, Vinny. Sidebar here. Our library in Oak Lawn, you could rent out music albums, and then I would take them home and burn them. And I know I did that with one of their albums. They had signs saying don't do it, but, what are you going to do? Anyway, so this is from the album in particular that I really enjoyed of theirs was Songs for the Deaf, which is where No One Knows came out from that album in 2003, I believe. That was a really popular song.
That's their big hit, right?
That was their big hit. Dave Grohl played drums on that. He would fill in occasionally for their drummer. Really goofy, really fun music video. Great bass line. Great. Yeah, of course, it's me. Great bass line. Great drum solos in there. Excellent song, but not my favorite song of theirs. My favorite song was one that didn't really get, I don't think it was released as a single. And this is another one, another good title. It's You Think I Ain't Worth a Dollar, But I Feel Like a Millionaire. I don't know if you came across that one.
Title.
It is a good title. And that one is like rock your face off. Like, it's a hard song. Really weird intro. The intro starts with, you hear like that beeping from like a car door being open. And then it cuts to like listening to like a fake radio station. And then the DJ's like, all right, here's our next song. It's, Songs for the Deaf, and then they cut to the music, and it's just got this killer, awesome guitar intro. And then it's just them like screaming for like 3 minutes. Like, it's really doesn't sound like any of their other stuff. Highly recommend it. I used to listen to this song a lot before hockey games because it would pump me up. Go With the Flow, another one of their popular songs. I used to be able to play that on the drums. That was a fun one to play. A lot of tom-tom action in there. And then also The Lost Art of Keeping a Secret. I don't know if you came across that one. That was a really good song, too. I feel like I've heard that one on the radio before. The Lost Art of Keeping a Secret.
Nope.
Okay. So I would recommend checking that one out, too. Okay. That was another one I liked. But, yeah, if you haven't heard You Think I Ain't Worth a Dollar, But I Feel Like a Millionaire, that song will rock your socks off. So, highly recommend it.
Nice.
Good band.
Yeah,
Used to love playing their music.
I'll enjoy listening to probably some of those later on. Moving on to number 2, mine is FunkWav. And the song Cash Out. I really enjoyed that song. It had a very like 90s hip hop late 80s hip hop kind of vibe to it. And like I said, FunkWav didn't have the biggest catalog of songs. And there were 3 that I enjoyed, but yeah, that was Cash Out was the one I liked the most, just because of the feel, the vibes from the song being more of like early 90s hip hop.
All right, I'll have to try and find that one because that sounds interesting to me. I had 2 in particular. One that I liked probably the most. It featured Snoop Dogg, John Legend, and someone called Takeoff, and that was called Holiday. I don't know if you came across that one in your journey.
I did not.
All right, I liked that one. That was I don't know. I have a soft spot for Snoop Dogg, so it almost reminded me of 90s hip hop, but like not Mark Morrison and like The Return of the Mac, but like kind of that vibe. I don't know if you're familiar with that song, but
yep,
kind of like a slower, like or kind of like a Renegades Mount Up kind of vibe. That's kind of what I got from that. The other one I liked was with Pharrell Williams, Warren G. Thank you. I couldn't remember the guy's name. Warren G. Yes, kind of had that vibe to it. The other one that I didn't like as much, this had Pharrell Williams, Katy Perry, and Big Sean, and that was Feels. I don't know if you came across Feels.
I did not.
I'm not really a big Pharrell Williams fan.
He doesn't age.
He doesn't age. I did like when he was a part of NERD. I don't know if you remember NERD. No One Ever Really Dies. They had some hits in the early 2000s. But I hate that song, Happy. Oh God, that song drives me insane. So yeah, overall though, like,
happy?
No, just kind of. I think it got played way too much when it came out. I remember them playing it at school like all the time on Fridays, and I'm like, oh, this is making me not happy. But yeah, that one with Snoop Dogg and John Legend, pretty good. Check that one out.
Holiday.
That's
yes,
sir.
Called? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll have to check it out then.
All right.
All right. That leaves us with number 1, and that is the only band we haven't mentioned yet. That is Palaye. Right? Did I get that right? Palaye Royale.
Sure.
Is that okay?
We can go with that.
Palaye Royale. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I think I found like 10 songs that I added to my like list on Spotify. They were very unique. I think they were probably the most unique band that we've probably listened to, maybe for Musical Mayhem, where they had. I mean, at one point I'm like, oh, this kind of reminds me of like is it Imagination Dragons or Imagine Dragons?
Imagine Dragons, yeah.
Imagine Dragons. They had a similar sound to that, where the song that I really enjoyed had more of like a Matchbox 20 sound to it. The song I liked was, I'll just get into it. It was Cemetery's number 2. Like I said, it had that whole CD was one of their early ones. It had a whole kind of Matchbox 20 type feel to the song, but that's not like they're all over the place. They're a little dark, kind of like the Queens of the Stone Age, but then they kind of just have more kind of, I guess, I don't know what you call it, just kind of traditional rock or alternative rock type of sound to them on some of their earlier stuff. But I thoroughly enjoyed their songs. Their cover of Eleanor Rigby was really good as well. And they also did one of I can't even think of the song now. And do I have it written down? Mad World. They did a cover to Mad World, which I like that song.
That's a good song.
So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this band. There was a couple other songs. I think their number 1 song on Spotify, Lonely, was really good. They also had a song called No Love in LA, also really good.
That was
Justin,
was
that yours? That made my, out of the 10 songs I had, I had picked 3. It was Cemetery's number 2, it was No Love in LA, and I think it was Lifeless Stars was the other one. That was kind of the one that reminded me of Imagine Dragons. Yeah. And so, No Love in LA is another good one. So that's a good pick. But it was between those 3, and I ended up picking Cemetery's number 2 just because it had that 90s alternative rock type of vibe to it.
Yeah, they were really, really good. When I first started listening to some of their music, I immediately thought of them as a combination of Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy. That's what I immediately thought of. I do like the Cemetery song. It does have a totally different vibe. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to more from that album because it's different.
The Cemetery's #1 is also a good song too, and there was one other song from there that I liked. I don't remember what it's called right now.
So I had three. I pulled three. I pulled three similar to you that I narrowed it down. So #1, No Love in LA, I thought was just a great rock song. Really, really fun. Just really good chorus, really good, melody. Liked that. The other one I really liked.
If you live in LA, you probably won't like that song because
probably not. It reminds me of like California songs by Local H, where they just pretty much say LA F off. Mr. Doctor Man. Did you come across Mr. Doctor Man?
That was on my top.
That was a good one too.
So, yeah,
that was a really good one. And then similar to what you said, "Lifeless Stars" was my #3. I really liked that song too, and that was very tonally different than the other two. So I thought, like you said, when I initially looked them up, I'm like, oh, I kind of got a vibe of what these guys are gonna be, and some of the stuff definitely like they remind me of like somebody that you would see playing, in the back of Fall Out Boy, right? But then you hear some of their other stuff, and it's like, oh, they do have a little bit of creative license here. Like they can try to kind of change it up when they want to. So highly recommend if you grew up, same age as us, and any of those bands we just mentioned you liked. I'm kind of shocked that these guys aren't more popular. Like I'm like, you would think they would have gotten a break somewhere because they're pretty talented.
I agree wholeheartedly, but we don't get to pick who makes it and who doesn't. So
if that were the case, we would have made it already, Vinny, and we haven't made it yet either. So
no, we sure haven't.
It's coming.
Here we are on a Thursday night, right?
It's coming.
But I totally agree that I am shocked that they aren't more popular, but that's why we do this, to find bands like this that probably should be more popular, and hopefully more people will start listening to them. But I guess you have to like that type of music.
Yes.
The one and only Pretzel Vince writes in, who's the only other person that ever really
does the Musical Mayhem,
goes through and listens. We probably should have had him on, but I know Freeport they're having a lot of issues with power out there, so I don't think he would have been able to participate, or his computer probably would have ran out of juice before we would have gotten to this segment. But Pretzel Vince writes in, this was actually not as bad as I thought. When I saw who we were supposed to listen to, I thought, oh, this is going to be tough. I was pleasantly surprised from the last to the first artist, then favorite song. So here's his list: 5 to 4, or 5 to 4, 5 to 1. Gosh, I am struggling right now.
All right.
5 to 1. Going from least favorite to most favorite. Number 5 is Khalid and Coaster. I don't recognize the song. I don't know if you do, Justin.
No, I don't.
Pretzel Vince says, found this guy sounding the same no matter what song I heard. No innovation. Even when he collaborated with FunkWav, it was the same style of singing. Yep. I had that song. I think it was Rollin'. It might have been the song that he did with FunkWav, which I had on my short list, which I thought was funny when I wrote it down. I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of funny that I have the two artists that we're listening to on the same song. But I agree, and I think we talked about it, that he was very similar in his. Number 4, FunkWav Heat Stroke was his song that he picked. I don't recognize that one either. Not bad, but Calvin Harris is collaborating with well-known artists. I don't know who Calvin Harris is. Do you?
Calvin Harris, I believe, is FunkWav's real name. I believe that's his real name. Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't even look into his real name.
Pretzel
Calvin
Vince.
Harris is collaborating with
he knows stuff.
Yeah, he really takes his time to look into this better than we do. I hate to say sometimes. But Calvin Harris is collaborating with well-known artists, so the songs should sound good, but Calvin Harris appears to be behind the mixing board and is not really performing. But the songs were different, and that is why FunkWav is rated higher than Khalid. Yeah, I would say that he was more innovative and different than Khalid was, especially for the catalog that Khalid had over FunkWav, which I was kind of surprised. But moving on, number 3, Arcade Fire, Song on the Beach. I actually didn't listen to that one, and I thought I had that. No, I didn't have that as a short list. But yeah, this Pretzel Vins writes in and says, not bad for an indie band. Nice variety of music. Again, okay, but nothing to get really excited about. I think that's a perfect way to kind of describe Arcade Fire. Number 2 was he wrote Palaye Royale. It's Palaye Royale, but I think that's probably because I wrote Palaye Royale to him. So I'll give him a break on that one because it was my fault. But his number 1 song was Lonely, which is probably their most popular song. He said, what a nice surprise. They did a nice arrangement of Eleanor Rigby, one of the better covers. It was kind of dark, which was perfect for this song. I also like No Love in LA. This could have been my number 1 choice, but Queens of the Stone Age, Vampire of Time and Memory, which is a very dark song and slow. When I first heard the first 2 songs, I thought, oh boy, another 3-chord rock band. Then I heard Vampire, is it Vampire?
I believe it's Vampire. I think it's just a goofy spelling.
Yeah, Pyre.
Yeah.
Vampire of Time and Memory. Wow. Another favorite one is No One Knows. And they actually did a cover of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which they actually did a really good job on that cover too as well. But yeah, I think what No One Knows is kind of their most popular one, right?
At least it was.
I had that on my short list too.
Yeah, that was popular, as was Go With the Flow, and then they had another song called Little Sister that was fairly popular too. But those were their 3. Right. And I don't think they've had any other ones that are really like mainstream success. At least I haven't listened, but yeah. So good picks.
And then Pretzel Vince summarizes up here. He goes, overall good groups, and some of these would have been ranked higher on my previous Musical Mayhem group or lists. This was a good group to listen to. Yes, I totally agree. This was a lot of fun. I can't say too much more about it, but it was a lot of fun to listen to these, and this is exactly what I was hoping to get out of this segment.
Yeah. I think this one nailed it.
Listening to the bad is sometimes funny too.
You know what? The less Tyler, the creator, I have to listen to, the better. I would say he is still entrenched at the very bottom out of all these Musical Mayhems we've done.
Yeah. I totally agree, but I think that's also the fun and almost funny. I mean, we don't have to divulge into like how great the music is, but we can definitely sit here and kind of joke about how terrible it was.
Well, we're broadening our horizons, right? Like it would, to be honest, it was even with Queens of the Stone Age. It was really cool to go back and to listen to the albums of theirs I had, because I haven't listened to them in a very long time. I'll be honest, like most of my drives now, I'm listening to podcasts or talk radio because I'm an old man who's a father.
We're old. Yep.
You know, there's 2 rock stations in Chicago that I listen to, Q101 and XRT, but one of them was always like the old person rock station, like for dads. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to listen to that station ever. And as I've gotten older, I've started listening to it more and more and more. And I'm like, okay. So
pretty soon you're going to get white New Balances and get yourself a grill.
No, I have New Balance running shoes. Those are my running shoes, but I don't wear them outside.
I mean, aren't all New Balances like running shoes? You just got to get the white ones with the little blue N.
No, mine are blue with a white N. I went opposite there. So.
Oh, okay.
Fancy.
You're always the contrarian.
That's me. When you think Justin, you think contrarian.
I sure
all right. Well, I got nothing else. You got anything else?
I got nothing else.
This is a nice, like, good hour, 20 minutes. This is like a good time frame. I like this.
And now you keep talking, it's going to be an hour 30.
Yeah, all right, I'm going to shut up. Well, before we wrap up, if you'd like to subscribe to us on YouTube, feel free to do so. YouTube.com/baseball and whatever. You can tweet us at baseball and what. Follow us on Instagram at baseball and whatever. catch us on the talk or the TikTok, whatever the kids say, at baseball and whatever. Email the show, baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. Feel free to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We're up to 25 reviews. We have a 4.8 rating, so we'd appreciate any more help there. You can find us on Spotify, Google, Anchor, Spreaker, Overcast, all your podcast apps of choice. And lastly, most importantly, we haven't had a voicemail in a while. Somebody call in and leave us a voicemail at 1-913-808-3278. That number again is 1-913-808-FART. All right, well, that does it for this week. Have a great weekend. We will be back next week with more baseball and whatever. See you guys later.
See ya.